Hello, welcome back to another art video. In this one I'm attempting to learn to oil paint in another week, so I hope you enjoy.
Hello, I feel very awkward about filming this, but anyway, here we go. I have decided to see if I can learn to oil paint in a week. Um, Oil painting is always something that I have wanted to try. Um, I've been painting for myself for years, drawing, sketching. I don't have any kind of professional training, and so I've always used acrylics and watercolours because they felt like safe and easier medium, and also because they're easier to clean up. I have tried oil paints a couple times, and found them to be a complete mess. So that's kind of scared me away from them. So I thought that this week I would try doing a little oil painting every day of the week. I don't have any kind of set theme other than I want to create one painting a day. Realistically, I have about an hour a day to paint, and I'll come on to that in a minute. But I just got these little stretch canvas squares. I think I got these from the works, and I've also picked up a few little square frames. I was thinking if any of them turn out good, I could potentially frame them in there. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So basically, my plan is to do one oil painting a day. In terms of the supplies I've got just some basic, I think they might be artist grade oil paints. I have no idea. I've got linseed oil, which will help kind of mix and thin the paints, and I have some white spirit for cleaning. I don't know if that's what I need, if I should have anything else, but that's what we're going to make a go with this week, and we'll just see how we get on. One disclaimer, and one of the reasons that I haven't done much oil painting, is that I've got two small children at home, so the time that I have to paint is generally later on in the evenings, and because I live in the northern part of the world, the light's not always great, so bear with me. I'm going to try my best, and yeah, if it's not good, I will try and cut and edit things to at least make this watchable, so we will see.
For the first bit of this challenge, I hadn't quite decided that I was going to film this for YouTube, and so the first clips that I have are all in short form. I started by painting still lifes simply because I thought they would be easy and produce nice and quick and effective pictures. My focus here was really on learning how to mix the paints to get the right color and texture, rather than on creating like beautiful finished pieces. Before starting this challenge, I knew very little about oil painting other than you work from dark to light, so that's what I'm attempting to do here, starting with the darkest shadows, building in some purples and pinks to try and really capture the colours that I was seeing, and then working my way to light. I had originally planned to paint a range of subjects, so I'd hoped to do some landscapes, some still life, maybe some portraits, but I quickly realised that just trying to master the paints and the colour and the texture was more than enough, and so I ended up just doing a series of 7 still lifes. This set of radishes was by far the most challenging thing that I attempted to paint, and I'm not sure why. I really struggled with the leaves on this one. You can see I'm trying to add shadows and highlights on top of shadows and highlights, and to be honest, the paint just became a bit of a mess, and I don't think I quite mastered how to work in texture when using oil paint, so that's definitely something I'd like to work on. One of both the positives and negatives of oil painting is that they dry very slowly. So I actually only had to put out a new canvas once in this whole process, and you can see me doing this here, which actually makes setup really easy when you can just use the palette from the night before. However, it does mean that each painting takes a while to dry and you do need space to store them, which can be a challenge. By this point in the week, this is actually the final piece that I did. I knew that I was just doing still lifes of food, and so I decided that I wanted to add a coffee cup to that collection just because I thought this might be quite nice to hang on my kitchen wall. Um, and the process that I came up with throughout the week that seemed to work best for me was doing a very loose pencil outline, a quick underpainting in very washed out oil paints, and then starting from light to dark. To be honest, that's about as technical as I got throughout the week, but that broadly seemed to give me results that I was pretty happy with. I think the main challenge I actually encountered was finding the light to paint. As you can see here, the light very quickly faded in these clips, and so I actually had to return to this very briefly the following morning to try and make sure that the shadows were kind of the right consistency and color.
Okay, so it is the end of the week. I managed to complete 7 paintings. I've got 6 of them here, plus one that is propped up on the canvas you're also propped up on because it's still wet. And I just wanted to kind of give a quick rundown of how it went, what I did. So in terms of where, I'm trying to remember my first one. So I think the fish was my first one. And broadly, I'm pretty happy with the pieces that I've made this week. I think for a first attempt, it's pretty good. I think the colours worked a lot better than I was expecting. I was able to mix them pretty well. They mix pretty similarly in terms of like pigment to acrylic, so I didn't find that too challenging. I did struggle a little bit. Let me show you. So this is the first one I did, and then the last one. At the start, I struggled a little bit with kind of texture and mixing, but I think towards the end of the week, I had improved in that department at least. Yeah, I can definitely see like some of the canvases coming through in the first painting. I think I'm just going to do sort of a silky montage of all the pieces so you can see each of them rather than me, oh lovely, that one is still wet, rather than me critiquing them in any detail. In terms of the one I'm happiest with, potentially one of these. I really like these two. I think just the colours work really well, and the contrast between kind of like the reds and purples, and then the yellow and blue here. I really like those. I don't love this one. This is probably my least favourite, and I think that's more to do with the composition. So I think the peaches maybe should have been bigger, or there should have been more. I just think there's too much background going on here, but overall I'm pretty happy with how this went, and I would consider it a success. So I was very nervous at the start of the week to actually give this a try, but it just goes to show that if there's something that you're maybe thinking about trying and feel a little bit nervous, then there's no harm, and the worst thing that happens is you make something you don't love. And yeah, otherwise I might put some of these up in my kitchen. I think that would be quite nice. Like a few little still lifes of food to hang on the wall. So yeah, thank you so much for watching if you've got this far. And yeah, I might try one of these again, so see you soon.